Good evening. Let's jump into the last 20 minutes and I'll try to bring you up to speed to what we're doing. I'll introduce myself during the slides. I work at Nuon and let's start the way we're supposed to start, in an agile way. And that's with a backlog. Explaining what was our starting point of our transformation. And just let you take it through it. I would say until beginning of this year, the last 7 years, I was running an online department in Nuon and I did that in Vattenfall as well. We started using Scrum development in about 2012, just for our development teams. It worked great. We made great advances, but it was just there. In 2014, I said, well, could this not also work for my business teams, for my online people who are working from the business? Because I'm in the business area. And we did it, and it worked great. It got lots of transparency, and it really worked. However, it was just our little, let's say, 40 people department, and there's 250 people in the marketing and lots more in IT. So we sort of run into our boundaries. Something interesting happened. We did a big project called Nuon Blijven Loont, which is our latest product we introduced. And our management team said, we're going to do this in 6 months and use waterfall. And I told them at the beginning of this journey, it's not going to fly, but they did it anyway. So literally 6 weeks before go live, people were shouting in the hallways. We had girls crying, Excel sheets with 365 lines in it, and a lot of work to be done. So then I said literally, enough is enough. Take one of my team leads, Martijn, and he will do it agile. And we know we're not competent, but we're not going to make it. And guess what? We made it. We were ready on the day we needed to be, and people learned a lot. And then everybody said, well, now we're competent. We're going to do this. And we said, hold on. We done it once under pressure. We need help. So I said, let's get in some support. And if I would do that in the official way, I probably wouldn't have gotten them until today. So I just hired 2 guys from Capgemini in this case, wriggled it about on my manager and said, yeah, we really need them. I know it costs money and we'll do the stuff later. Let's get them in. Let's get them started. Which was cool because they could help me form these 3 organizations, this stuff. At the same time, we decided to do something where I'm really proud of. We tear down to huge silos, marketing and service, which were 2 directors, different targets. And we said, let's join them because then we can really start working for the customer. And that was the time the lady who was running the service department, I knew her well. Then I went into her office and said, okay, I'm going to quit my job as an online manager and I'm going to help you transform the business into an agile organization. Because I think we can be more flexible, more customer driven, and let's do this. And she looked at me, my hands were literally trembling, my heart was in my hands. She said, well, I know you, you're the guy who takes on impossible tasks. Let's give it a go. So that's when I started, and this is what we did. I'll just take you 3 minutes to what we did and then talk a lot about what made it successful and what did we change on the way. So, Andy, thank you for this one. What problem are we actually fixing before we start? So, this was what's happening. Lots of meetings stuck in PowerPoint and then it never came alive. And silo teams are suboptimal by nature, because they tend to fight each other instead of going for one solution that the customer actually likes. This one should look familiar. Many things going on at the same time. Thank you, Andy, for pointing that out. And the last one, multitasking, also in Andy's slides for 80%. Okay, that was the easy stuff, but remember, we need to deliver on the 2015 business plan, reorganized, meaning a lot of insecurity for people, and agile transformation, all at the same time. Good luck. But I said, that's okay, let's just do it anyway. Otherwise we'll never get forward. Do it step by step. So here we go. What do we do? Simple. We made a big transformation program. If I'll make it simple, let's do it like this. If I summarize it to my next door neighbor, it means this. Build mature teams, build internal coaching capabilities. Some of those people are here today. They didn't know Scrum, almost didn't know nothing a half a year ago. And now they're internal Scrum Masters and they're teaching other people to do it. Coach the management, because it's not about the teams, it's about the whole organization. And do all that governance stuff around there about budgeting, finance, legal, etc. That's what we need to do. And if you make it that simple, it works. So, I think everybody has seen this iceberg once in his life. The visible stuff there, what you really believe, and then the underlying values where you're from. If we then look at our transformation, It's actually Scrum. That's the visible part. It is the new normal. You have to learn it. But it's actually also just putting sticky notes there and being at stand-up meetings without knowing what the underlying things are. That's not the real change, if we'll be honest. The real change is that you have to start experiencing it and saying, hey, this actually works. And hey, I can take a small risk as a director and let the team try out a few things. Because if it doesn't work, well, we'll change it in 2 weeks anyway. Let's give it a try. And if I want to be fair, we're doing this. What we're starting to do is this, the real word that also Andy is talking about. Really attack the underlying issues. We all know what the problems are in our company. Addressing them and fixing them, well, that's the hard work, because then the real change, then the real improvement in how fast we're doing stuff will happen. And to be honest, we're just scratching that surface. Lots of work to do there, and also sometimes will we really touch that? Let's see. Where are we now? Well, we were doing a really big project. We had to redo that Nuon Blijf Alone, because we did it so fast the first time. It was really successful, but we had to do it proper. That was a 1.4 million project, which is a fairly large project in our terms. And one morning I cornered the lady who did that project. We did it Agile the second time around and asked her, did it work? And this was her God-honest answer. We've done better quality-wise and delivered more than anticipated and stayed in our budget. And delivered 2 weeks later than the original planning we made 6 months ago. So if we need any more evidence in our company if this is working, well, here's the answer. And this is not just me telling it, the whole team is happy doing this. So this really helped in our transformation, that by walking the talk and doing it, we proved in real life it's working. And this is I don't know, at least 25, 30 people working on this project. So where are we today? We've done all that hard stuff. So yes, Andy, we have those stable teams, 6 officially, and then 3, let's say, more project-wise. We bring the work to the teams. We've created that backlog. We created all that stuff. We arranged the budget. It's actually even approved by finance by also putting some value in on those features and saying we're going to deliver on it. And those features and those value is in our business plan. So that's, I'm going really quickly now, but remember, so your director, you have roughly an idea what you're going to do. You promise me as your manager some value. You don't know if you're going to make it. But we all agree to do it anyhow, because we know that the alternative of making really complex Excel files doesn't come true anyway. So let's take a leap of faith and just do this. And that's actually where we are today. So, enough about what we're doing, what worked and what didn't work. And things that enabled our transformation, I'm just going to share them with you. It really helped to have a nutty guy like me. Internally saying we want to do this and relentlessly going on and telling how it works. But what also helped is put a core team around them. Here you see the people who are really actively managing the transformation, and there we see a number of people from the organization, existing managers. They needed to come on board, because if we do it for them, not with them, they're not going to own it. In the end, in 6 months of time, I'll probably work out somewhere else. And those people are hired, and women are, they're probably going to stay with us. But by having them the owners and making also the decisions, go left, go right, quicker or faster, or don't do something, they became the owners. So having that core team was a huge success. It was also really complicated. We started with them saying, let's do two times a week a stand-up of half an hour. We should manage that, right? Wrong. They were in a reorganization, they were insecure of their own jobs, and they were really busy. So we turned it halfway and said, every Friday morning we take 2.5 hours with them. And then it even didn't work. And then I went to Cindy, my boss, saying, okay, now you need to push forward. If you really want to change, they need to clear up their schedule only on Friday mornings for 2.5 hours. And then it worked. And the good news is, in August, I was still, are they going to come Friday morning? And now they're all there every Friday. So in that sense, it really worked. Maybe obvious, but please do it. Take in your top management, ask them what they think about it. And to be honest, and Martijn will kill me if I say that he didn't have a clue. And he's the boss of my boss, but I know him well. And I said, well, Martijn, I'll write it down for you. And if you're okay with it, just hit publish. And he tweaked the text, and that was it. And it worked. because a lot of people said, whoa, the big boss think it's important, so we're probably really going to do this. Engage your employees at day one, because that really worked. So we wrote down some simple slides stating what this transformation would mean for you, for you, for you in everyday life. Halfway through, we made a small picture. It's an animation, 4 minutes. I won't show it today. If you want to have it, you can have it. Explaining in normal terms, what will your life change on this way? Some people already working Agile knew it, but other people like, what is it? Well, make things simple. Just show it to them. We introduced an Agile guide. I'll show it to you again. Lots of stuff, right? Simple articles, about 70 of them, explaining how it works, short content. You can read an article in 2 minutes. And we use an Agile approach here. Start with 20 articles, just turn it on and show to people. And guess what? We've just done that and it's working. People are reading it and saying, so this is what it means. This is what I have to do in my role, being in legal, testing, finance, whatever role you might have. This is the role of the product owner. So it's like a mini Bible, but it's not a thick Bible, explaining how we do things. Important part, of course, is management and leadership of the management. So what we did is, in the new management team, remember, silos broke down, we created one new management team. I sat down with them, I said, okay, I was the last speaker of that week, and they had like a 5-day offsite, tired, evening before, lots of drinks, of course, because they also wanted to do this bonding as a team. I said, now we need to do some real work. So we started with a lot of management bullshit on the left. Freedom, mandate, blah, blah, blah. In the end, if I'm an employee, this is all cool, but it really doesn't help me. What I needed to know from them, and it's over there, is what are you actually going to do tomorrow to let people see that the world has changed a bit? And we did this, and this is not my making, they wrote this down on their own. And we printed it out, it hangs really A0 on the wall. I see 3 people per week taking a picture of this because they don't believe it. And the funny thing is that the managers are actually doing it. Marco, is it true or am I over-exaggerating? They're doing it because they truly believe in it and because they were part of this journey. They decided they want to do this. They decided to want to steal official steercodes and stop with it, and they're doing it. And the only thing I have to now do is lay back and enjoy the ride. Good. What we also wanted to do is say, hey, we don't want to create perfectly happy employees, but we wanted to create a working circumstances where people at least say, well, there's flow, we're doing stuff, there's flow of work. So just ask them. And this is what we did, and this is the outcome. These are the real figures. We just done a new one, but I don't have the figures done. They're done by Monday. So the people who are working with it, say 80% say we're cooperating a lot better. 70% says improvement. But remember, Agile is not for the faint-hearted, because it is hard work, and that will not change. And that's what we also learned. And the other part, 40%, feels, well, my manager's not really helping on this part, because the manager didn't have the information himself. He's also learning. That's fine. That's why we have the coaches. That's why we have the guide. Okay. A lot of stuff about the hard work, but please remember, this is a change going on, meaning left side of the brain, right side of the brain. Remember this one? Please spend a lot of time there. In those Friday morning meetings with the core team, a lot of time I was sitting down and saying, what are we actually discussing? But they were learning to understand the, let's say, all the implications on the soft side, what it means for them to let go, to not, to be, yeah, you can join a stand-in every week, that's okay, but don't interfere. Let the team make the decisions, let them make the wrong decision. It's like your young kid, if you have a kid, is bicycling without those side steps for the first time, and he's going to fall over in 20 meters. What do? Are you going to run behind it and catch the kid, or you're just going to let it fall? Well, this is what this is about. Spend a lot of time there because it's useful, and also it helps them to basically say, it's my change, and it's not this crazy guy, Bas Touw, doing all the stuff for us. It's actually our decision. And please remember this. If you don't write it down, it didn't happen. If you have a meeting for 3 hours talking about all those feelings and you write nothing down, then 1 week later, Christophe's going to have a different memory than and Ian is going to think something else, and then we've achieved nothing. So even if it's about a lot of soft stuff, write it down, capture it. Otherwise, you're going to have the discussion again and again and again. What also worked really well in our case is just pick one area and do it really well. So we put the spotlight on Nuon Blijven Loont. I put the best coach on there with way too much of his time, lots of attention there, but they needed it and it helped because it made the point that it worked. The rest we were also doing in parallel, but coaching this team really well made a big difference. This is the best lesson I learned from the guy who introduced Lean Startup. I went to his session, Erik Ries, about a year ago, and he started his session, crowd of 2,000 people, and he said, I'm going to be boring, start with finance. And he's right, because if you don't start with finance, they're going to be a showstopper. Because they have to free up budgets without getting all those beautiful Excel sheets. And it's 30 years, they're command and control, they're not used to it. So involve them and ask them, okay, what do we need to do? And they basically, without my help, written down this beautiful business agile framework, explaining what the rules are from finance point of view to be able to work in this way. And we're actually imposing that now. And so this quarterly strategic session actually means that you sit down each quarter and saying, what value have we achieved? Going backwards in time, and what value will you promise me as a director for the next quarter? And then we agree on that, and let's go for it. And if after 3 quarterly meetings we're going into the right direction, we're doing something right, and if we find out after 2 quarterly meetings not going towards plan, well, then finance is going to put their foot down, because we have then burned a lot of money and not delivered the value. Then we're doing something wrong, and then we need to shape up. There will be critics, of course. Not everybody is as enthusiastic as I am. I'm also a realist. And actually, critics are engaged people. They are critical for a reason. They care for the company. So winning them over is actually going to win the change. Because if those people are actually first opposed and then like it, then suddenly everybody's like, hold on. He really wants it. And he was really opposed against it. Then everybody starts to listen. So that's something you should keep in mind. And the question is, when do you start engaging them? Because if you're going to fight the critics on day one, that's going to be really tiresome. You probably won't win that fight. So once you see the first visible success, other people will start telling those critics, hey, it's working, look. And it's just not me telling them, but other people telling them. And then getting them on board and having them have a say in how we're going to do it, then they're all over. Because then it's done. Because then they were a critic, they come on board, and then I'll just ask him, well, Christoph, what do you want? And then they need to have an opinion because they're critical. And then there's the 20 people in the room, I'm asking you what to do. You cannot be silent. You need to have an opinion, and that works. One of my big critics was Bram. And Bram, to new stuff, he really doesn't like. And this is last week. Bram is explaining to about 50 people what a great idea this is. And he's not telling it because he was told to do. He's telling it from his heart because he's actually truly convinced this is going to work. So I'm really proud of this moment. And I've asked him if I could use his picture. And he said, yes, you can. Okay, going forward. Are we still there, everybody? Great. Can I keep up the tempo? Cool. We had to change some stuff on the way because not everything panned out the way we wanted it to be. And one of the things is that we started in an agile way from the transformation team. So thank you again, Andy. We did that, but to be fairly honest, we didn't do it fully. And we literally bumped our noses. What didn't we do? We did the stand-ups, but we didn't start with a burn down. So we had no idea how fast our work was going. We didn't poker first at our sprint plans, so we do the 2-week changes, what we need to do in the change program. We didn't poker, meaning we put down 30 sticky notes. We had no idea how many hours we had to do it, and we had no idea if a sticky note was 5 hours or 10 hours, so you don't get the work done. And we need to also to learn that it's not about you, but it's about us as a transformation team. So I, at the beginning, found it really hard if a task was on my name and I couldn't finish it, to give it to somebody else. And that was what I needed to learn. Let it go, because we need to deliver as a team, not as a person. And we did the retrospectives, including the follow-up. And especially that one, doing the follow-up, made all the difference in the company, because we were eating our own dog food. We were transparent. This is hanging centrally in the office. Everybody can see this. We're there every morning. You actually have to walk around us to get into the office, which is good, because then that's visible change. And we were pleasantly surprised by the spin-off, because people were seeing we were walking the talk. We were really doing it. We're not saying, you need to change, but we don't. We don't need to use it. We said, no, everybody needs to do it. And it worked. And this has turned for me out to be the hardest. We wanted to start to become more efficient and to drive more value. And to be honest, that's where we are. We still need to start that, because the managers didn't have the experience I had. They needed to know the thinking behind it. So they had the awareness trainings and the deep dives. But okay, if I show you how to drive a bike, and I might even coach you how to drive a bike, doesn't mean you're a race cyclist who can win all the funny things. You need to learn this. And remember, we were getting stable project teams, but there was also a huge reorganization going on. So people were more worried about their jobs and people they had to let down and other stuff than knowing what was the value of the last 2 sprints. They didn't care, to be honest, and they start caring now. So actually, that's where we need to do now. Now we need to really say, okay, we have stable teams. Now you need to raise that efficiency, but also do the real value steering. Do you know for sure that what the last 3 sprints the team has done is actually delivering the value you want it to be? Yes, we have trust in the teams, but it's also good to, every once in a while, check. Did it really bring value? I promised to do it fast, and I did.
Well, Bas, thank you very much for your great talk on agile transformation within Nuon. So I would like to open the floor to the audience for your questions. Oh, everybody's a bit tired, huh? Come on, we're overwhelmed. Ah, yeah.
Thank you.
Good.